I want to take a moment to talk about the PlayStation 3. To start it off, I am predominantly a PC gamer. I have been since the start of time, really. But I've owned every console, literally every console apart from the Wii, since the Sega Mega Drive, Super Nintendo era. So everything from then on, I've had even the handheld consoles, everything Vitas, PSPs, DSs, Switch, all sorts. So out of all those eras, I personally look back very fondly on the PS3, Xbox 360 era. I don't think games have moved forward, advanced particularly much since then. I think there's some gems, of course, we can easily forget and think, oh yeah, that one's a great game. But overall, that period of gaming, Xbox 360, PS3, games were just coming hot and heavy. You know, they make even the franchises, for instance, they create Uncharted on PlayStation. We get free Uncharted games. You don't get that with the newest generation. I think PS4 we had Uncharted 4, and then all we get on PS5, realistically, for the most part, is remasters of the originals. Which goes all the way back to PS3. So it's like, okay, they look better, they're sharper, and I get it, it's a better experience, but it's very expensive. Now, again, to clarify, I have a lot of these games, a lot of PlayStation exclusive games on PC because they're starting to port them over. So I own majority of them. I've had a PS5, so I own a lot of the remasters on PS5 as well, which I don't have access to now because I don't have the console. But for me personally, it was a case of, like I said, I'm PC predominantly, but I do want to be sitting there casually on the sofa and things. And I personally think the best console, if we're going to talk actual console, Xbox One X, I think is the best because it's backwards compatible all the way back pretty much. Not every game, but the majority, and it can stream the latest Series X games. It can literally stream it, so it's like a best of both worlds, and it's a 4K. It's a bargain for what you can get. But when we talk about the era themselves, I think PS3 and Xbox 360, and they're cheap. So I bought a Slim recently. Cost me £70 on eBay. Come with a few games, two controllers. I was like, that's a bargain. Consider the price of the current generation. We're looking at like 400, 500. It's crazy. Now, when you know about the hardware, being a PC gamer, I know it's going to cost me about £1,500 to build a new one. I've got a gaming laptop, but I do intend to rebuild a computer at some point. But, that's a lot of investment. So it stands to reason that games consoles would be about £500 because it's a fraction of the price, but it's still very powerful. But if you go far enough back, it's just its value for money is crazy, and there's a lot of exclusive games. And when I say exclusive, there's a lot of games on PS3 that have never made it onto the other consoles because PS3 had a strange architecture with the way the CPU and everything was functioning, so that it was hard for them to port it over. The best we got on PlayStation 4 and even PlayStation 5 now was it's PlayStation. I can't remember what they called it now. PlayStation Now. It was PlayStation Now. Now it's PlayStation Plus Premium and all this sort of stuff. But effectively, there's select games from previous generations, including PS3, that you can stream via PlayStation's online service. But they took some of them off. I'm pretty sure Resistance and Killzone were on that list, and I think they took them down. So the point is, at any point, even if you think you have access to something, you may not have access. So it's worth bearing that in mind. But that's the only way you can play PS3 games on those consoles. It's literally what Sony make available through the streaming service. That's it. So it lives and dies by the console, which is strange because all the other generations are backwards compatible. PS4 games will work on PS5, Xbox One, Xbox 360. No, the original Xbox. I keep calling Xbox One because it's the first one, but yeah, original Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One. They all work on Series X. When I say all, a subsection, maybe 30% of 40% of games work. You know, we did have an example already. Yeah, this one. The only example, this is an example. I recently bought an Xbox 360 Slim. I know we're going off track slightly because this is not available on the future generation of Xboxes, and I always had fond memories of Forza Motorsport 4. So I bought an Xbox 360 specifically for that. Only cost £30 for the console. It's a bargain, and that's a Slim model, the 250 gig black one. Great. Anyway, so let's continue with the PS3. I think now is the perfect time to get it. I'm not saying in the future it won't be available, but the games are cheap. The consoles themselves are really high value, right? Like in terms of the value for money, it's crazy. And something I'm noticing is the online is still working. You can still go on the store, you can still buy games. They're just not on sale anymore, like discounted. So you won't see any discount anywhere on the store. It's just whatever the base price is, that's it. So you're better off going in the used market and buy the discs. But what's happening a lot of the time, you put a disc in the console, there's an update. Now, if they take the servers off, like let's say someone divers and they think, I'm going to wait, and then you get a PS3 in 5 years' time. It might be great. Like maybe you do find some bargains, but you may find yourself stuck with the unpatched version of games. So you put a disc in, it won't have access to online, it won't know there's an update, and then you're just going to be playing the game in its raw form, and it may have issues. So pretty much most of the games I'm putting in the console, there's an update. So I just download the update. So the way I look at it, if the servers ever go down, and I keep this console, as long as there's never a hardware issue, because that's the one thing, especially hard drives, they do fail. Until that moment comes, I will have a fully updated game catalog. So that's great. And again, if we look at the price of the games compared to what you'd pay for the PS5 version and PS4 versions, look, it's just wild. Like, for instance, today, literally just got The Last of Us on PS3. Now, I've got it on PC, and again, I've spoken about all the other ones. But first of all, I love the artwork, and it's not a PS3 without that game, and that literally just cost me £4, 4 or 5. I can't remember now. It's 4 or 5, but it was supposed to be 6 when I last looked on the store. Um, so that's a bargain, and that's the thing with a lot of these. There's too many eras of gaming. Like for instance, if you love Gran Turismo, like I'm finding with Forza Motorsport, I sometimes miss the past ones though. It doesn't mean the new ones aren't good, but sometimes they lack features. So like for instance, we've got Gran Turismo 6 and Gran Turismo 5. Now Gran Turismo 6 is a beautiful example of patches needed because this one actually keeps failing. It takes hours, if not the whole day, because there's I think 21 updates, and every time every time you get to like patch number 10 or something, or well, I can't remember the number because it shows you the number as it goes through, it fails update, and all of a sudden you can't play the damn game. So you have to delete all the stored information and do the whole thing again and figure out at what point it's doing it and just stop. So I can't even fully update this game, and it's drove me nuts that I can't even play it yet because it adds new features. There's an Ayrton Senna track and some features like that. If you don't patch it, you don't get any of that. So again, if you was to get Gran Turismo 6 and a PS3 in maybe 5 years' time, you won't even have access to any of that because it's not updated. Something to think about. Another one. Like Sony have really annoyed me with the PlayStation, the way they've gone. They've cancelled certain franchises and focused heavily on other ones. And I just think, why? Like I loved Killzone, absolutely loved Killzone. Had it on the Vita. I've played all of them. I love them. Resistance, fell in love with Resistance. They are more dated now than you remember. You know, I've got 1 and 2. I still need to get number 3. Again, had the other one on Vita. That's where it stopped. I expected a new one on PS4. They never come. And it's like, what are they doing? And then you think Xbox has Forza Horizon, and it's a huge thing, and it's like it's just come onto PlayStation as well. But why didn't Sony keep investing in MotorStorm? They're great. This is awesome. This is just like off-road. It's racing, but I love them. And there's about 3 of these, I think, to get. Or 4, because it's a radio-controlled version as well. But anyway, why not? This ended with the PS3. So, like, why didn't they keep making one for the PS4? So again, what I'm saying here is you're going to get franchises that just died with the PS3, and if you don't have access to it, you won't be able to play them. So, and I was literally just playing it on TV, and it looked absolutely fine. It didn't look dated to me. I was enjoying it. I want to get a capture card at some point so I can capture the PS3 and preserve it because that does mean something to me. And this is what this is mainly about. It's like nostalgia, but it's like preserving history, and I love that. It's a period of history where I just know it was a defining period of gaming. It literally birthed the next generations because they're just remasters for the most part. Most of them are remasters. So, for instance, The Last of Us, when The Last of Us come out, it's a bit like Red Dead Redemption 2. You know, there's some people that absolutely loved it. Me, I fell in love with this game. Like, it's a story-based game, of course. It's like survival elements, but you just get engaged with it. But some people got bored of it. They just felt it was too much of a story. Like, they didn't see it as a game. And it's like you're missing out on the best game of all time. Now people are falling in love with it, especially with the TV series. But yeah, PS3 is when it started. Then we got a PS4 version. Then we got the PS5 remaster. But it started here, man. And that was like my favorite game when it came out. That and Red Dead Redemption. And they both come out that same era, that same time period. It's crazy. Yeah, and then we've also got Little Big Planet, which I just think is timeless. Again, I'm going to be playing that later because I can just sit there and chill out. It's harmless fun. And there's a third one to get, but by all accounts, it's not very stable on the PS3. So I'm not sure if I'll collect it, although I probably will. but it's making me think maybe there's going to be some games on PS4 that I reminisce about and may have to look there. I don't want to collect every console because it just gets a bit heavy, a bit much. Like I say, I've got the 360, I've got the PS3. There is One X in the house as well, so we can upscale. So, for instance, I don't really want Red Dead Redemption on PS3, and this is from experience. I had Red Dead Redemption on the PS3 when it came out, and I had a 360 as well. And I played both, and I knew immediately the PS3 version is not very good. It doesn't have anti-aliasing the PS3, so the 360 was already superior. You put the 360 disc in the Xbox One X, it upscales it to 4K and runs at 60 FPS. So you're getting a better experience overall with the Xbox version. Again, here we go. Killzone 3. I've still got to get 2. And that's just what I'm saying. Like, I haven't collected everything I want, but I'm starting to build my library, you know. A Killzone I love. It makes me want to get the Killzone, I think it's Liberation. Something, I can't remember the whole name of it, but it's on PS4. Again, I had that at launch with a PS4. And yeah, that is graphically, it's a huge sight better than the PS3 versions. But even that, it looked fine. The PS3 version of this one, Resistance are the ones that are dated. The graphics on these are pretty dire, in all honesty. But I love the games and I truly remember them. And I was like, I definitely need to own Resistance. So there is a third one for me to collect as well. But again, some people might not have even heard of these games because they never transitioned over. Literally, Killzone ended with PS4. PS5 hasn't seen it at all. Resistance ended with PS3. Little Big Planet has pretty much been killed off by, I think, Astrobot. I'm not saying it's a bad thing or not. I don't know. I like Little Big Planet though. There was one on PS5 though. I'm pretty sure there's a PS5 version. Like I say, there's other Gran Turismos, but we've got Motorstorm. I've still got to collect the first Uncharted. There is what do you call it? A remastered version where they're all together on the PS4. I own that as well. But like I said, there's something absolutely beautiful about owning these consoles, and there's still more games for me to collect. I literally have a list of games I want to get. One game that I talk about a lot, and I'm not sure a huge generation will know about it, is Blur. It's a racing game that's a bit like Wipeout. I don't know if you played Wipeout, or if you can even think about, even if you thought of it, cars in the sense of Mario Kart. So you drive around and you've got like shields, you've got rockets, you've got machine guns. These are pickups along the way, and it was a game that I thought was going to stem more games. I was like, this is so exciting, this is fun. Back in the day, you can get it on Xbox 360 and PS3. I'm assuming, I can't say for sure whether the Xbox 360 one would upscale on Xbox. It depends if it's backwards compatible because there's a whole list of games that are not. Like I said, Forza Motorsport 4 isn't backwards compatible. So you can only play it on an Xbox 360. Hence me buying the Xbox. That's what got me over to the PS3 because I was like, this era is awesome. I forgot about that, and it's like, oh, now I need a PS3 definitely. And then that was a whole debate in myself. Do I want a slim? Do I want the original one that looks like the Spider-Man writing, which has yellow light of deaths, or the PS3 Slim, my one, which is reliable, or you had a Super Slim, which was really cheap plastic, and it, like, just the lid slid up. That was just cheap. I didn't like that. So where can you get all these games cheap? Because I'm talking about like cheap games here. This is ridiculous. We're listening now to the fact that Xbox have announced that new games on Xbox systems are going to be £80. Everyone's going mental here. This is just, the prices are just stupid. The value isn't there. The games better be like incredible for that, and they're not. The standards drop in all the time, and sometimes they're buggy. We're seeing it with the Switch too. £80 games. I literally just bought a PS3 console for £70, and you're telling me a single game on the Switch 2 is the value of a whole console? That's crazy. So even like me, like for instance, there's certain games that are rare on PlayStation 3 right now. The original Killzone, I think they call it Killzone HD on PS3. I think that's at least £50. It might be even more. There's a God of War trilogy. There's the original God of Wars from the PS2 era, I think, that were put on PS3. They're really expensive as well. So these two games are actually quite rare. And I'm sure there's some other ones that might be rare as well. But when I look at it, I'm thinking, that's crazy, because I'm used to like games being from like £1, maybe up to £6. That's what you're looking at in the used market per game. And that's for big games. Like we just saw Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption, Little Big Planet, all these games, they're within a certain budget. Then you might get Killzone and you think, wow, that's £50. I can get a lot of games for that. You can, but once you've collected them, it'd be nice to have that. and we compare that to £80 for a new game anyway, now that doesn't look so bad. I'm thinking, it's just normal anyway. Back in the day, it would have cost you that. So it's not really gone up in value, is it? It just hasn't lost value. So I wanted to just show, if I can get it, just some of the stores, really. This one's CEX. This is one I like going to. I don't tend to buy online. So this is a good way to just check your stores. If you like a specific game, of course, search it there. If there's a certain console you want, search it at the top. You can then check the store availability. So in the UK, we have a lot of CEX stores. And you can see what's available in your store. So you search the game. Is it available? Great. And then obviously that's the price you pay. So you go into the shop and you can pay for it. Now, you can do it online, but they add £3 delivery for every item, which is absolutely horrendously making everything ridiculous, because you might as well just see what you can get in store. If it's not available in your store, then just look some other places to make it. Obviously, we're trying to get the most value here because we can get the more games out of it. But yeah, I've enjoyed this. Now, if you was to buy anything online, this is where the issue comes. I just want to show the variation just so you can understand. First of all, is a game scratched? Is the cover ruined? Because you get damaged covers. You buy something online, apart from eBay, because eBay you can see photos. Now, and I really go over that. But if you use some different sources for buying games, you may risk buying something you don't want. Like it might not. For instance, like I said, the Resistance and Resistance 2, if we look at the normal cover to games, it's nice. It's like full. Now, my Resistance games annoy me. And there's other games like this, by the way. They've got this essential range. It's grey. It looks cheap. It's just tacky. So later on, when I've finished collecting for the PS3, I will look to replace these for the originals. And I like buying bundles. So if I see a really good deal on eBay, so if we go over to eBay, I'll show a bundle I got. This cost me about £15 total, I think, delivered, somewhere like that. And I didn't even care about it, but because it included so many Call of Duties, I was like, you know what, I might as well just grab that. That's too good a deal not to buy it. Yeah, I'll just jump on it. I didn't even bother researching the value of each game. For me, it was a good enough deal. You can overcomplicate it, you know. So, for instance, those two games I just said with the covers I don't like, you'll find bundles along the way, and one of them games might be in one bundle, the other game might be in another bundle, and all of a sudden I've got duplicates, and then I might even keep an essentials range anyway. But this is getting ahead of myself. You know, I'm not going to go crazy now because I'd rather collect the games I want. But this is how I'm just going to explain how I buy my games. So for the most part, I look around eBay. I start having watch lists, because what happens with eBay, which is really good. Let's say you like this bundle. You say I want to watch it, so you click watch. It saves it to your list of watch lists on eBay. And a lot of the sellers, now I'd say about 80-90% of sellers, they usually, after a few hours or even a day, could be sooner, you will all of a sudden get like 10% off offer or some other money off. And all of a sudden you're getting it cheaper than you initially saw it at. And obviously first come, first serve. If someone else buys it quicker than you, then they get it. But it's a good way to get some games cheap. So it's worth keeping that in mind. I do like CEX because I know what I'm paying. You know, I see bundles on eBay and people are selling, like, for instance, where I've got two Little Big Planets. There'll be someone selling them for like £15 for the two. And I can understand that because they look desirable. You're going, oh, yeah, put them together. Someone might fall for that. And they might even just think that's the value of it. That's not the value of it at all, because I paid today in CEX, that cost £2. It's in brilliant condition. So this is this store in the shop. I went in it, my local one. Now I could go into another one. There'll be different items in stock. That's the beauty of it all, really. And they'll always get new stock depending on what people are trading in and things, you know. So I got Little Big Planet for £2, and I got Little Big Planet 2 for £4. So we're looking at £6 for the pair. Now other people are trying to sell them for 15, 20 quid, and it's like, I paid £6. There's no way so I know that's not good value. I know the value of the games, but that's what you could get for your money if you just be smart, you know. So yeah, CX is great. You can source all the games you want. PS3's eBay's great for me personally for bundles and looking for specific games that maybe you just can't get. So for instance, I need Killzone, the second Killzone 2 on PS3. It's currently only £1 on CX if you can get it in the store. And again, only select stores have got it in stock, not my local ones. So that leaves me with either wait, buy it from CX, pay an extra £3 on top. So it's £4 total. It's not the end of the world. Again, you don't know what one they're going to give you. Is it going to be one of the grey cover ones? Is it going to be scratched? I don't know, and it's a risk with all these online providers. But if I go on eBay, I know I found it for like £3 or something, so it's like only a little bit more. And sometimes that's the case. That's the way I'm going to go because it gives me the game, and I can check the quality of it. Now the other option here is Music Magpie, and I do like Music Magpie for films because they do bundles with films. You know, you can get like 4 for a fiver on DVDs and Blu-rays and all sorts. It's like a bargain. Their PlayStation games are actually more expensive than CEX, but for instance, I might go on eBay and it might be a bit too pricey for some of the games, and they just don't have a clue how to price something. It might be I go on CEX and it's cheaper, but it's not in stock. And by the time you add the £3 delivery on top, and we look at the price overall, all of a sudden that game, because if we're going online, it might be cheaper on here. So, for instance, Little Big Planet here, you can see it's £3.35. I paid £2 in CEX. Now, if my CEX doesn't have that in stock, and I'm paying £2, now they say it's £2.95 or £3 to deliver it. Now we're looking at a £2 game becomes £5. Well, Music Magpie will deliver it, free delivery, because that's what they do, for £3.35. So now we're saving £1.65, is it? Or something like that. You know, we're saving money, which goes towards other games. And I might go on eBay and they might not even have it, or they might be selling it at silly prices too, you know, or just they're all damaged. Of course, you take a risk here. I've never really had a problem with quality, and they're good at returns and refunds and things like that with Music Magpie. So I've never, when I've had a problem, they've let me keep the disc sometimes and just give me a replacement. So that, yeah, it's just worth looking around really. So the prices aren't scandalous. It's just I know I know how cheaper I can get it on CEX. So yeah, anyway, that's how I'm doing my searches. And as you can see, the prices are not expensive. You know, that's what I said earlier. Like in a different video, I made the point that right now is a good time to get it. The prices are cheap, and some of the games are literally exclusive to the console. And even in this situation with the Call of Duties, for instance, yes, they would look better on the 360. And it just is because the 360 was just a better console because it had the anti-aliasing. And again, we're talking about the backwards compatibility. I put them discs in an Xbox 360, boom, enhances it with higher frame rates and better visuals because it higher resolution. That's the thing with the PS3. It's like dead out arrival wherever it's at. But I actually have all of these on PC, so they look better. And that's the thing people didn't realize back in the day. They're playing console versions. Some of us were playing PC versions, and the PC was always sharper, you know. But there's something quite beautiful. I put in, I think it was Black Ops or was it Ghost? I can't remember which one I put on now. And I was like, oh, this looks dated, like graphically. But it was that rawness. I felt like I was in. See, a lot of people don't go to the arcades anymore, but going younger, we had the arcades. And that's the feel I get with the PS3. Yeah, the graphics are dated, but to me, it's reminiscent of when I used to go to the arcade, and the graphics weren't always great. You know, it didn't always look great, especially when the home console started elevating and improving. But it's that rawness that I actually like, the nostalgia. But yeah, hopefully I've explained some of the features really, and some of the ways to go about getting your games. And if you have any games on the store, digital store, you can download them all again. I've been doing that. I've been down. I've got Infamous. I've got Ratchet and Clank series. I think 1, 2, and 3. I don't know why I haven't got 1, but for some reason, I've got Infamous. I've got Wipeout. I've got Jack 1, 2, and 3. I think it's that Jack and Daxter, but the Jack. I've got PS1 games. I've got the Crash Bandicoots, the original PS1 variants of them, and a few others because I had those consoles back in the day. So it was like good that I could just re-log in and download the games from the store. But back then, digital wasn't as popular. So obviously, it's a bit. I was like, oh, I own a lot of digital games, but it turns out I don't own that many PS3 digital games. So it's about recollecting. But I think there's something beautiful about collecting them anyway. I think the cases look nice. One thing I would say here from looking myself, if you'll know a game is older by the design of it, like when it got released, because I look at it and I realise what they did. So when these red ones here, the font is the same as the original the glossy PS3, the bigger models, and it has the same font. Whereas the PS3 Slim, the one I've got, actually has the same font as this PS3 writing, which shows you that the red ones, like the ones with the red sides, they are original PlayStation 3 at the original era of the PlayStation 3. And then these ones are the ones that come later in the cycle of the PS3. So they're newer, thing. So effectively, you'd expect the graphics to get better because that happens with the generations, isn't it? People learn, they get the developers learn how to push the hardware, and then we get better performance and fidelity. Hence why The Last of Us managed to get pumped out of that thing, but then and even Uncharted. So it's not like a weak system; it's incredible. And like I said, I was like, even just now, I was really impressed with MotorStorm, Little Big Planet, Last of Us, and I do like playing Gran Turismo. So I think personally, a £70 console and games that are costing between £1 and six, it's crazy. Or maybe you buy a bundle for £15. I mean, I bought two bundles. It cost me £20 total, I think it was, or just over 20, and it come with like these games here, and it's from the same seller. And then it come with another load of games. I think I come back with like 20 something games, 23 games, and it was like 20 something pounds, £24, £20. I can't remember between. And you think, God damn, that's a lot. But then you go, 20 something pound for games is not a lot of money either, though, is it? So it's a lot of games for very little thingy, because we're so used to paying so much for one game. And we think because it's modern, because it's new, it's better. A lot of the games nowadays are just crap. I like, personally, I've got a huge library all over my PC. All of those PC games are on the consoles anyway, you know. But what I'm playing currently is like I've got a list here at the top of my screen right now on my PC. Fortnite, Call of Duty, Claire Obscure Expedition 33, which I think is great. It's on the Xbox. I think it's on all the consoles actually. Elder Scrolls Oblivion remake, Hogwarts Legacy, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. I've got some simulators. I've got a load of PlayStation games in the top corner here. I've got Ghost of Tsushima, Horizon Zero Dawn. We've got Last of Us 1, Death Stranding, Days Gone, God of War, Spider-Man, Uncharted Legacy Thieves Collection, which is Uncharted 4, and then the Lost Chapters, I think it's called. And of course, I've got other games scattered all over the place. Red Dead Redemption 2, GTA. So you could argue I don't need anything else. I have all them. So I have them in the same quality you're going to get on a console, if not better, because it's through PC. But I still love all this, And I recognise, like, for instance, a lot of these I just can't play. Especially me as a PC, for instance. I don't want to pay £500 for another PS5 again. I don't want to. And if I bought a PS4, I'm playing the inferior version of PS5 games, really. That's all that is, PS4. There's not much originality there that's not on the PS5 at this point. But there are games on PS3 that aren't on PS4. So that's the way I look at it. PS3 was the one that was worth time capsule, really. So yeah, okay. There's more enhanced versions of Uncharted 2 and 3, and I've still got to get the first one again. But think of the hardware you need to buy that. I'm not paying £500 again for another console. And the same with The Last of Us. This looks great. I've got it on PC anyway, but I'm not going around buying a PS5 just to play that. And that's what a lot of people are validating. The latest consoles, but they cost a lot of money. If you already have one, then obviously that could change your whole attitude. But you're not getting Killzone 3 on PS5. You're not getting Little Big Planet 2 on PS5. You've got the new one. I can't remember which one that is now. You can get Last of Us. You can get the Uncharted's. You can't get Gran Turismo 5. Of course, you get the latest one, but it's up to each their own. I think it's nice to have more of a mixture. You can't get MotorStorm on PS5. You can't get Resistance Fall of Man. You can't get Resistance 2. You can't get the first Little Big Planet. You can't get Gran Turismo 6. And there's still more games that I intend to collect. You probably can't get either. So, yeah, this is my two favourite consoles right now. Xbox One X and the PS3. I've got the Xbox 360, and at the moment, I can only envisage me playing that realistically for games I own digitally that I've downloaded on it casually when I want to in a different room, or Forza Motorsport 4, because many other games that I have that are discs or whatnot, they will work on the One X and they'll be enhanced. So that's the beauty of the One X. So I'm not a fanboy of any. I'm not like I'm Xbox or I'm PlayStation. I'm just where the games are. Where the exclusive games, where's the compatibility and all these sort of things. And I just really love the design of the covers as well with PS3. I think that's better because Xbox has a lot of white covers. They're really boring. The 360. But yes, I like the covers. But I also like the way it is. I love the exclusivity of it all as well. I think, yeah, we all favour certain things, don't we? And the other thing to mention as well, I haven't tried it yet, which I probably should, is the PS3. Apparently, you can use a PS5 controller on a PS3. I haven't tested it yet, and I should. It's just that I thought I remember back in the day I hated the PS3 controller because it had the bulging. They bulged out, so it was always like awkward. And for some reason, a lot of their games they use the bumper button instead of the trigger for shooting and all sorts. And I've just never understood that. And I thought I wouldn't like it again. I thought I'm going to hate the controller, but then I got it, and I was like, actually, this is actually all right. I'm actually quite liking it. So I haven't had a need to mess about disconnecting it from my laptop because I don't want to keep going syncing in, syncing out. So I'm happy. I'm happy enough with the performance. But yeah, obviously everyone's gonna have their priority on their preference on their consoles they buy, of course. But like I say, I just think there might be a time when the prices of games goes up. That's the only issue because I'm already seeing it with a couple, like I said, Killzone and a couple of others. But when people start to notice that certain games are becoming rarer and rarer, it's going to be harder to acquire them and more expensive as well. And right now, is like you grab them, and that's just literally where I'm up to. So it's like I'm just grabbing everything I can think of that I want, within reason and budget, of course. Um, and then I can start thinking of the more expensive ones later, really, because I'd rather just because what it is, you could chase the expensive ones now, and then by the time you do that, the other games have shot up in price. You know, especially when you've got series. Like I said, you've got Killzone 1, 2, and 3 on PS3. Number 1 is really expensive. Killzone HD, I think they call it. That's really expensive. So the same could be said one day for Resistance. Resistance 1, 2, 3. It could be Resistance Fall of Man, which I don't think so. I think there's a lot of copies of it. But you might find the original cover, Fall of Man, rather than the one I've got, might end up being worth money. Oh, this one. Because instead of this essential range, you know. So it's just about being aware of it, really, and keep your eye on the market. I think things like Gran Turismo could end up going up in price personally. Because we look at Gran Turismo now, it's incredibly expensive. Doesn't drop in price at all on PlayStation 5 right now. And once games start hemorrhaging at the price they're at, I think people are just going to get fed up with gaming. Personally, because we're not seeing enough advancement. Yeah, that game's good. Yeah, it looks pretty. How long am I playing it? How much replayability is there in it? And then you go and look how many games I can get on this console, and they're fun. And I'm back into the past just where games were fun. It was all about just enjoying yourself. And I think there's a nostalgic element, and I personally think a lot of people are going to start going backwards rather than keep forward. They'll be selective about the games they buy, and the game companies will be confused as to why people aren't buying their games. But you charge £80 a game, someone's got £160 for two, 240 for, is it something like that? But 240 for 3 games, and who's paying that for freaking games? I'm not paying that. I'm happy with what I've got at this point, you know. And then if games get silly in price, I'll just play the library I got, which would last me a lifetime anyway, because I got loads, and then I'll just keep collecting the old ones. Now I do have emulators, by the way. I'm not going to go into that now, but I have got emulators running where I've got Switch, I've got PS2. The PS2 era is really fun because I have an emulator of it. I don't really need to go and collect it, although I may do one day, but I don't know if I will because it runs absolutely great. And I've done video on that as well, and I might do another one in future, the PS2. Because to be honest, I was really pleasantly surprised by it because I was more Xbox at the time. But yeah, for me, PS3 wins.